Okay, today's topic is talking about your logbook, attacking your logbook. So, a big part of training, if what you're doing is real training, so when we define that, it means a very systematic way to approach your time in the weight room where it ends in an end result that you planned. It wasn't a mistake. You actually did that on purpose, right? That's what training is. And if you're going to train in the weight room, that is code for I'm going to get stronger, I'm going to get bigger. So if you're serious about training, you need to have a logbook. A logbook meaning you're basically writing down every workout, every set, every rep, and you're logging what you did for that session, and it's making progress. You're trying to increase the weight on the bar every session or every week or every month, depending on what part of the process you're in, and it needs to get better. You need to get better. The results of training is defined on you making progress. And so a good way to think about it is you want to attack your logbook. I'm Carl Ragavan. This is another episode of Beautiful Strength, the UK's original starting strength coach, SSC in the house. So let's get into it. So a logbook, pieces of paper, you know that thing which has a stem going down the back of it? You need to get one. Here's why. You need a low-tech, low-budget pen and pencil way to track your training, because situations, and this really did happen to me, where your tech will malfunction on you. So this is a true story. I have quite a new iPhone I bought a couple years ago, the 15 Pro Max iPhone. For whatever reason, I've set it to automatic updates, and I don't know why, but it doesn't automatically update when I'm asleep. So the software was probably back a couple of gens in terms of, I don't know, it's at the 18 now, and I was maybe at 17 or whatever it is. And the one app that I use almost exclusively on my phone for my training log, and I even write articles with that. If you haven't checked any of my articles out, check out my articles on starting strength. That app, the Notes app, glitched, and I didn't actually know what it was. I had to go into the shop and ask, and he said the same thing happened with his camera. He was like, yeah, if I just missed updates and my camera stopped working, which is also kind of crazy. So tech can actually fuck up, and you know, that's not a place you want to be, where you open your training up and you can't have access. So even if you're online coached and you have a True Coach app, you're always best to have a paper log and write down what your week, when your coach gives you programming on the Sunday, you're best to write it out so that whatever happens, you'll always have a paper hard copy of your training. So you've got to have a low-tech option as a backup, because technology does get hacked, it does malfunction, and you don't want that to be a deterrent in your training. That is an obstacle that clearly can be avoided just with a couple of quid. You buy a book and a pen, write it out, and you're sorted. Training, like I already said, is about progress and results. Having a logbook and attacking your logbook, pushing progress, basically guarantees that you're going to get results. So for that reason alone, it's a no-brainer. You want to attack your logbook, get PRs, add weight to the bar. And I know sometimes, myself included, clients as well, obsessing over your numbers can be a source of anxiety and fear, because you know you've got a serious number that you're approaching in a few weeks' time, or every workout is a serious number that you're worried about. The way I think of approaching this is the logbook has a history, right? This isn't just your first workout. So looking back on your history is a great motivator to shut those inner demons and voices off. With a paper diary, you'll have a quick, fast, easy way to track your progress and see what you've done in the past very, very quickly at a flick of a switch, or as a finger. So a good reason to be writing down in a logbook your training is to physically have a copy of all the data, right? So training isn't a 6-week little I'm trying to get in shape kind of bollocks, right? This is a process which takes years, and then if you become very serious about this, it becomes a sum of decades, 10 years at a time. That's how you can really track progress. So having data, even if you miss, you've got that data point, because now guess what? If you make that weight, we know that you've got stronger. Even if it's a set 5, it doesn't have to be a 1 rep max. We know that you got stronger. So for those reasons, you want to have the data in a logbook, and you want to push that number. You want to attack it. A new word which Bob Santana, I think, has pioneered is called training drive. The ability to push on heavy weights and have an appetite to suffer, basically. And training can be boring at times, right? You're doing the same lifts over and over and over again for decades. Having a logbook gives you training drive and motivation to push these numbers daily. Every session you're going in, you need to approach it like you've got a fire lit up your ass. So I feel like having a paper copy of your logbook gives that extra bit of training drive and motivation and fuel to the fire. So for those of you who have been training quite consistently for a long time, and for those of you who've read a lot of my articles, you'll realize there's quite a common theme with being successful in the weight room and getting results, and that is building habits, right? Being consistent, not missing reps, although it can happen. You know, eating enough protein, getting enough sleep, la-di-da-di-da. All these boring, mundane things. Showing up to the gym, not missing workouts, having a log and having that habit of approaching the gym like I am now. It's written down in my logbook. I've got a mission. Every day I go in, I've got an updated mission. Having that daily habit, even if it's not a PR weight, because PR weights happen every 12 weeks for me, it takes a lot longer for me to actually get progress. That's okay. But for most of you, you're at least lifting a new weight every week, or at least a bigger weight than last week. Having that daily habit of pushing the daily mission is highly motivating. Another thing about having a paper log, as well as having a digital log, is in the gym. A lot of people spend a lot of time faffing on their phones, doom scrolling, answering text messages. I see it in every gym. Having a logbook, writing down and being more concise with your focus, it gives you another thing to fidget with, which is productive. So I would suggest filming your lifts. Even if you don't have an online coach, you should start to learn how to coach yourself and be aware of what movement patterns you need to improve on, what you're working on, how the bar speed's moving. So you should be filming yourself, so you should be reviewing the tape on what your work sets look like, and then you should be grabbing your notebook and making notes, what reps you did, how it felt, all of those things. Everything but grabbing your phone to do something not related to training. So I feel like it builds a nice productive habit with your rest periods. And to me, it's a beautiful thing to look over and see someone using a logbook. To me, it's kind of like when you see someone reading in a pub. You know, it's just a beautiful way to watch someone be productive and constructive with their time. A training log is going to have, over time, it's going to have a whole history of all your lifts. When you do approach that big scary number, now you've got pages of successful workouts, of days where you went to the gym and you didn't think you could make it and you still fucking crushed it. So all that RPE feels, I don't feel strong enough, I didn't eat enough, I didn't sleep enough, I'm going through a stressful time in my life, but you actually still went in the gym and you made progress, you put more weight on that bar and you did a heavy set 5 that you didn't think you could do. Those are in there in black and white. You have data of days where you didn't think you were going to make progress and get stronger, and you did. So when you do come across those days where you really doubt yourself, you can just look through and say, hey, I'm a bad motherfucker. Now let's do this. I would also say attacking your logbook and having a detailed logbook is kind of like having a cookbook and learning how to build the recipe and implement the dials of progress, because you can look back very quickly and be like, well, I definitely needed more frequency on my press, or rack pulls really helped my deadlift. You've got all that at your fingertips and you're gonna be more in tune with what moved the needle of progress. So I feel like attacking your logbook is the first step in actually being able to coach yourself and understand a little bit more on what is going on. So if you liked that video, comment, like, share, subscribe, you know the deal. That was Beautiful Strength. I'm Carl Ragavan, and remember, the barbell never lies.